Teenage Dogman. Dear Scary Stories NYC, thank you for your comments on my first entry for your channel, the story about the Dogman and his pup. Thank you for not doubting me or being judgmental. I've been looking for a safe place to get this off my chest for some time. So as I hinted at earlier, there were 2 later times when I saw that same puppy over the next couple years. Each time he looked more mature and taller. This is my account written from memory of the second of the 3 times we ran into each other. The next encounter happened in the fall, most likely late November. We were out hunting for deer, and that's when it's in legal season in Pennsylvania. In one area you've got state game lands number 67, 71, 73A, 147, and 215. Trust me, my father and I made maximum legal use of those areas and times. We'd always take down more than we could eat, and we'd sell the rest to afford our other expenses. Most years, we actually lived fairly comfortably, considering our cabin in the woods had no rent or mortgage payments. Even in the lean times, though, we never starved. I don't do it anymore, as the only meat I'll eat any longer is seafood. I feel no guilt about the times we did it to survive, but I think that if I were to hunt now, it would be an immoral act. It was not murder when I innocently helped my father eke out a living, but I'm comfortable now and I don't want to end any more land animals' lives. I guess I've just become an old fool. As for sea life, I once got pinched by a lobster, so now my philosophy is screw sea life, you know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, I'll get serious. This story freaks me out a little, so I tend to start making bad jokes when it comes time to tell it again. My dad was always taking chances and bringing me along with him when he did. One of the ways we'd take unnecessary risks regularly was that we would stay out way too late and then be walking home through the woods when they were at their most dangerous. One night, our luck finally ran out. Dad was walking in front and I was trudging along behind him. We hadn't caught anything at all that day, which is why we had stayed out so much longer. Dad never minded hard work, but he hated doing it for nothing in return. Since I knew he was in a bad mood, I was staying quiet, and we were walking along silently. Something grabbed me by the neck and shoulder and dragged me into the bushes, throwing me down on the dark ground. Before I could call out to my father, I saw a world of teeth in front of my eyes. I wasn't sure who or what had grabbed me yet, but I knew that whoever it was had very large canine teeth, like dinosaur versions of dog teeth. So tall, so wide, that they filled my field of vision as this individual began growling at me in a very threatening manner. I was laying flat on my back, but wishing I could somehow sink into the earth and get myself away from those teeth. I'm not ashamed to admit that my body reacted as though this were the end. The creatures seemed to notice and reared back for a moment, affording me a better view of what this was. It was a Dogman, a dark gray adult upright walking canine. It was extremely tall. I'm a bad judge of height, but it seemed larger than a very tall man. Possibly in the range of 6'8" to 8 or even 9 feet tall maybe. I thought it looked just like the Papa Dogman I had seen back during the summer. As I sat up and slid myself backward, away from the Dogman, I saw another canine approaching. It too was a combination of different dark gray fur colors, but this one ran on all 4s and appeared about the size of an adult German Shepherd. When it saw me laying on my back on the dirt, its eyes lit up, its tail began to wag furiously, and it ran over, standing on top of me and licking my face. It was hard to breathe with that amount of weight on top of me, as this animal seemed to be far more massive than your average German Shepherd. Between that and the licking all over my face, mouth, and nose, I was hardly able to breathe in at all. Whatever this creature was, it sure seemed to like the taste of my skin. I somehow turned myself on my side, getting the beast off my chest. This left me lying there, breathing in and out through a pained chest and pained lungs. Even as I lay on my side gasping for air, the dog licked my face so enthusiastically that it kept making me choke. If this was how it planned on ending my life, at least it seemed more merciful than just tearing my throat open. On the other hand, at least I might go quicker that way. At any rate, I got myself into a sitting position at the base of a tree trunk, and I wheezed for air. The dog continued to dance around me as though something wonderful were happening. I could see the large, upright walking beast man further away, just watching the two of us interact. That was when I made the mental connection. Could these actually be the same two dogmen from the previous encounter? I looked a little harder at the German shepherd-sized creature, and it did have the sort of face mask look around his eyes, as I remember that puppy having back in the summer. Could this be that puppy grown so large in a few months? Then it finally clicked in my brain that this was who it had to be. It looked like a fully grown dog to me, but it was only a teenager in terms of its development. That cute puppy was gonna continue to grow until it was the size of its father, or even larger. It wasn't a normal dog. I mean, this should have all been obvious to me months earlier, but cut me some slack. I was still really young. These first two encounters happened when I was 13, and I had one final encounter when I was, 16. There wasn't any internet back then, and Daddy kept me out of school, so whatever I knew, I had to figure out for myself, and I figured this out for myself. I took a risk that I did understand what was happening, and I stood up. Holding my hands out in front of me, I made a noise like you make when you tell your pet dog to come closer. That canine raced to me on all fours, then stood on its hind legs and rested its arms on either of my shoulders, giving my face a big sloppy wet dog kiss all over for some time. Yep, this was the same couple of dogmen, all right. I called out to my father, and when I didn't hear him call back, I whistled our special secret family whistle. I could hear him arrive behind me amid a torrent of foul language. I guess he couldn't tell if I was calling him to rescue me or what, so I shouted to him before he drew his rifle and shot anybody. He saw that younger dogman, who was at that point around the same size as me when he stood on his hind legs, licking me all over, and he saw that daddy dogman watching the same thing. I wouldn't be surprised if either of the parents looked at each other and shrugged. The puppy still remembered my scent, and that puppy also still clearly saw me as being his friend, on his side. His parents still seemed to be willing to humor his offspring, at least on this subject. Although he clearly didn't care for me or humans in general, the adult dogman was willing to allow his son to make his own decisions about who to be friends with. After saying hello for a long time, the teenage dogman and I started up a fearsome game of fetch. That dogman would leap over some bushes and crash straight through others, rearranging the forest in his wake, just in order to catch that branch that I had flung. My father came to stand closer to me, and we had a conversation each time the dogman ran off to chase my stick. Basically, Dad just kept asking me over and over and over if we could leave yet. Then, the younger dogman would race back, and my father would go hide in the woods again for a while. I just kept telling him the same thing. The game is over when the dogman says it's over, and not a minute sooner. Dad whined like those were my rules, but you don't make rules for a giant puppy. The giant puppy makes rules for you. So, we were playing to the point where I was becoming physically exhausted, when suddenly, the forest erupted in a loud, incredibly long howl. It was then I realized that I hadn't seen the adult dogman for some time. I wondered if that was who we were hearing making that howl. If not, certainly it was another creature just as large. The teenage dogman froze, and I listened. Then, without saying goodbye or even gazing in my direction, the beast ran off on all fours, in the direction of the sound. No doubt it was Papa ringing the dinner bell. I had been dismissed. You know, it felt like my dad treated me differently from then on. I think he saw that I was growing up, that I was starting to be able to handle situations on my own, even situations that he himself wasn't certain how to cope with. He shouldn't have been surprised, though, because he had raised me to take things as they came, and to deal with what you've got to deal with while you've got to deal with it. I am my father's son, and he made me who I am. Still, to this day, years after he's left us, I try to be the man that I think he would want me to be. I hope that makes him happy, as I wasn't sure that I always pleased him in life, and I'm not sure he agreed with my decisions regarding the teenage Dogman. The birds had Tippyhedron. We have Fraggydendron. You need to smile and not act saggy when you get a comment from Dear Fraggy. Please join me in thanking Fraggydendron, who is not only our executive producer for today, but one of the nicest people in our comment section. Please be nice to Fraggy, as she's a big reason we're still around. In exchange for her support, we share various perks with Fraggy, including our secret uncensored Dogman stories, far too wild to ever tell on this channel. Here to explain that whole aspect of our culture is none other than international TV spokesmongrel Henry Lee Dogman. Hank? Thanks, Biggie. And thanks to all of you for watching this far. If you liked it, please click like. If you'd like to see more of our work, please subscribe. And also click that bell icon if you'd like to be notified when we put out a new episode. To become an executive producer, you can donate to us through the thanks button under each of our videos, or through our paypal.me/PeterBernard209 page. To receive cool perks like secret uncensored Dogman episodes far too wild to ever run on this channel, you can become a YouTube channel member by clicking the join button, or join our PayPal subscribers club at peterbernard.com. Joining either at the $3 a month level or above gets you access to our over 25 hours of secret uncensored Dogman stories available nowhere else. Do you have a scary story about Dogman or some other kind of high strangeness that happened to you? Let us know by emailing us at scarystoriesnyc@gmail.com or by leaving us a voicemail message at 804-LA-SCARY. You may need to call back on that one. It cuts off after, I think, 3 minutes. And if you don't want to do any of that stuff, thank you for simply watching to the end. Good night, and have a scary tomorrow.
Come back for more scary stories.